Honk if you believe.
You got a lot of support. You got a lot of support, girls. What are you chanting?
Honk if you believe.
Honk if you believe that counselors before cops, or
Like, if they honk, that means they believe that this sucks.
Counselors before cops?
yeah, it's like because they're pretty much having cops become counselors.
Yeah.
Which means like they don't believe in the real counselors.
Well, you coming into the board meeting?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, it's pretty good though. You're getting a lot of support from the cars.
Yeah, because they keep honking for us.
Yeah.
That's
Our
good.
audience.
Okay, we're in the city council meeting, and all the kids and the people here. We've got a good little crowd today at San Leandro City Hall against the attempt to spend education money on the police and put more police in the schools. And lots of young people here with their signs as well, parents and what have you. Are you here with this, sir?
Certainly am.
Well, that's very good. That's very good.
It's good to be here.
It's not good to have the police in the schools, is it?
It's good to have the people in the city hall telling them.
It is. And you, sir, are you here for this as well?
No.
No? Okay.
I just wandered in because it's warm.
I see. Well, that's okay too.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
He came for this. Signs again?
That's pretty good.
Because schools are perfect and we don't need anyone to come in that we don't know, and it would just be like, I don't know.
Schools are perfect the way they are. Cops would ruin them for kids like us.
Thank you.
Thank you. The SLPD representative said that that they and the school district understood the importance of cops in the schools, but that most people didn't. I kind of took offense to being told that I didn't really understand what happened in schools. The police said that the school resource officer is not a sworn officer, is not a tactical officer, but a specially trained person who is hand-selected because they were, quote, cream of the crop, who can deal with somebody who's 5 years old, 15 years old, a parent, or a staff. Sounds like the definition of a professional counselor to me. Neither the school district nor the city should be paying extra money to train police to do a job that somebody's already been trained to do. The police said that the school resource officers get special training on how to enforce, interpret, and interact with school districts, design safety plans, and interact with the kids. That they're the ones who have to decipher if something that occurs on campus should be handled by the school or the police. No, I don't think so. That's the school administration's job, not the police department's. The police said that they should handle kids who are tardy multiple times, that they should look into why that child is tardy and decide, is it a parental issue or is it not? This is a school and a counselor's job, not the police department's job. Chief Spagnoli said the education code requires that you provide safety at school, and that the SLPD program is about getting those kids back into school so that the schools can get their ADA money. Really? Will the ADA money cover the cost of these officers? I don't think so. Earlier this year, 24 officers were dispatched to a high school in North Carolina after someone called 911 to report a senior prank involving water balloons. All right, a SWAT response at that school led to 8 students being arrested. Additionally, one parent who tried to alert the school's principal about what was going on and how the students were being treated was assaulted and then also charged with a crime. Our entire nation is in heavy discussion right now about inappropriate violence by police, especially against young people. The people whose primary training is, how did that other gentleman put it, to use deadly force, should not be in our schools. And your requirement to provide safety at school does not mandate using the police department. Please vote against this grant now and don't accept it if the city wants to give it to you anyway. Thank you.
My name's Anna Sophia.
I'm Rachel.
And we are strongly opposed to the COPS grant. When you fund the COPS in our schools, it takes away from the arts and education that you could be using the money to fund. And we don't think that's right at all.
What's a big deal is all the counselors, like one for each grade or one for 2 grades. That's crazy. If you want counselors, get counselors.
Don't replace them with COPS. That's just not right. Thank you.
Chandler, this also is my 3rd time coming here around this topic. Thank you. I just want to say this has been an incredibly challenging and deeply troubling issue for me. I think because all I can think of whenever this topic comes up is how close we came and have come to really cheating our children out of an education. From this budget report that we just saw, it's really clear that we don't have a superfluous amount of funds in our district. And from other folks' testimony, my testimony, I think, and the teachers talking about their low pay compared to folks in other districts, I think it's really clear we're not tripping over extra money, right? And we need a lot of help in our schools. And it really is true that education is the building block upon which societies are formed and democracy takes place. If we don't have rock solid education, we don't have safety, we don't have a democracy, we don't have all the tools that we need to have a thriving community. And when I think about the idea of spending over $1 million on a small number of officers whose job is being promoted as if it's just a highfalutin counselor and yet their salary would be akin to a principal. That's just so unbelievably fiscally irresponsible to me. And it makes me feel like we'd be willing to throw our children's future away. What's also deeply troubling to me is that my understanding of how this issue came about was that the police chief put forward with a proposal for a grant that would require this really incredibly unprecedented effort of taking funds out of the education fund, right, and putting that into policing. And that is such an unprecedented push, but it was also done after we've slashed the education budget since 2008, and the policing budget for our city has not been slashed at all. And the unfairness of that is pretty spectacular. So I guess I would like to say I hope that you all vote against the COPS grant, but more importantly, I hope there's on some level an audit into how this circumstance ever even came to be. How could our community have gotten into a situation where we have come so perilously close to throwing away our education and our children's future in order to get a few police that apparently aren't even going to be police, that we potentially don't even need and that no one even asked for. So I hope that there's that future audit as well and that you vote against this grant. Thank you.
I have spoken at the last 2 school board meetings, I think, yeah, and I spoke about the COPS grant and how I thought we could be using the money for it in other ways. And I can't vote on this. You guys can vote on this. And I really just want to ask you to make the right decisions, to make the decision that will benefit us in our schools, to make the decision that will help us be people in our communities. Thank you.
I told you it wouldn't be up for long. Good evening, President Prola, members of the board and staff. So I approach you tonight as a parent of students at both Roosevelt Elementary and Bancroft Middle School. And I'm concerned about the presence of police officers at elementary and middle schools that seem to be in the works. So there's no doubt that there are rare times when police officers will be needed in our schools. And Kathy Picard, recently retired, is the standard to which all of these officers should aspire. Amen. But as you know, the safest place for our students is at school, regardless of whether or not they're school resource officers. My concern here is it should be the school board who decides whether school resource officers should be deployed, and if so, how. We currently have no data on the effectiveness of school resource officers. There's a lot of perceptions, one way or the other. But let me quote to you from a study called Police Officers in Schools, Effects on School Crime and the Processing of Offending Behaviors, published in Justice Quarterly in 2011. Quote, unlike studies that have reported on key stakeholders' perceptions of the effectiveness of the SRO programs for increasing school safety, this study found no evidence suggesting that SRO or other sworn law enforcement officers contribute to school safety. That is, for no crime type was an increase in the presence of police significantly related to decreased crime rates. The analyses also show that as schools increase their use of police officers, the percentage of crimes involving non-serious violent offenses that are reported to law enforcement increases. These findings are consistent with the conclusions from previous qualitative research, which found that the presence of police officers helps to redefine disciplinary situations as criminal justice problems rather than social, psychological, or academic problems, and accordingly increases the likelihood that students are arrested at school. So please take that into consideration. I realize the recommendation from the superintendent is to not fund this COPS grant tonight, and I fully appreciate that, but it seems like the city plans to go forward with funding it without the school district's cost. And so that means there'll be an increase, at least it seems like there's going to be an increased presence of school resource officers at the other schools. And again, we need to figure out and make the decision at the school board level about the use of those officers, and not let that be the decision of the police department. Thank you.